As the clock strikes midnight, Jim is standing in front of his fridge, staring at its contents with a mix of shame and hunger. He's been doing well on his diet, but tonight he's overcome with cravings he cannot resist. He tells himself that just one bite won't hurt, but before he knows it, he's eaten half the fridge. He sits there depressed and guilty about what he's done. Achilles, on the other hand, sits with his meal content and stays present as he savors every bite. He knows that moderation is key, and he allows himself the occasional treat without feeling guilty or ashamed. I want to tell you a story. I used to binge eat a lot, on a regular basis, and even fairly recently I was very excited that I was losing weight and getting ready for summer and I could see my six-pack again, and then it happened. Dinner with family, Korean instant ramen, homemade sushi, amazing Korean side dishes, all on the same table, and I just went for it. I started ravishing it, and I wasn't even that hungry to begin with. I was actually okay, and then but once I started eating, it was like my stomach just kept demanding more. I ate so much until it was hard to even stand up straight, and then I had some more. I was thinking I should stop now, but as I was having these thoughts, my hands were reaching for the next maki roll, and the next day I wake up, I'm 1.5 kilograms heavier. I can already feel another layer of fat is formed around my body, and I wonder, how is this possible? How can I gain so much in such a short period of time? Despite the fact that I know it's water weight, that I know that it can go back down and all of these things, I still feel guilty. I still feel a bit like I failed. It just didn't feel good, and I even made a post about it, and you guys were very helpful in telling me it's just water weight, it's gonna go back down. And thankfully now I've been very good again, and now I'm down to 70 kilograms from 73.8 3 months ago. That's a good pace to be losing weight in a healthy and sustainable way. So today in this video we're gonna go into how to stop binge eating, and we're gonna peel back the layers one by one. First layer that you can think about is your immediate environment. You want to be thinking about what triggers your binge eating episodes. A lot of the time, what triggers my binge eating is dinners with family, dinners out in a buffet, drinking with friends, craving you get at night, coming out the club, chugging down fries and kebabs, and it tastes amazing. Or the family gathering where your grandma's like, eat this, eat that. You're like, no, but every no you say is met with an even stronger insistence, and eventually you start eating, and before you know it, you've eaten half the table, and it tastes so damn good. Another thing is when I have different kinds of food at the same time on the table, like sushi and ramen and all this kind of thing, and I feel like I want to taste all of it. I'm a very visual eater as well, so whatever's on the table, I'm trying to taste it, as opposed to someone who goes by satiety and says, you know what, I'm full, so I'm gonna stop. So having a lot of excess food on the table, as opposed to just enough, are some of the triggers that lead to binge eating. What are your binge eating triggers? Maybe it's ice cream, maybe it's sweets, maybe it's dessert, maybe it's doing excessive cardio, maybe it's leaving your food to a point until you're extremely hungry and then starting eating. You want to be thinking about those triggers and start changing the environment to make sure those episodes happen less. So what does that mean for me? For example, it means not exposing myself to nights out or drinking escapades. So I don't really go out now to clubs or bars and things like that. And when I go with friends, still, yes, it sometimes does happen that we drink too much, but I'm aware of those triggers, which means even just that little bit of awareness is gonna help me fast before I go out. I have that extra layer of protection. But this is only layer one. There's a layer deeper that you must work on, which is the deeper and deeper reasons why you binge eat. And unless you get to the deepest layer and work on that, you will always have those episodes of self-sabotage. But we'll get to that. So let's go one layer deeper. What is that? It's your knowledge and your skills. You can work on understanding certain things and having certain skills that are going to help you stop binge eating. So for example, one thing that you can know for sure now is sugary foods and processed foods are more likely to make you binge eat. So if I asked you, when's the last time you binge ate broccoli? When you binge ate nice salad? It doesn't happen because it's not processed food. It doesn't have additives that trigger your tongue and your palate. A lot of, no sugar things, they mask it with salt. And other than processed food, even carbs and sugary foods in general, because of the hormonal reaction that goes on, it's going to make you crave more. What's the hormonal reaction? Insulin spike, leptin signaling, as in satiety signaling is reduced, which means when you eat eat sugary foods, your brain is not going to know that you're full as quickly as it usually does, which means you're just going to eat more before you feel full. And have you experienced that? Probably, right? You start eating pasta, you feel like you can eat 3 bowls extra. You start eating chocolate, you're like, there's a separate dessert stomach. That's what they mean when they say there's a separate stomach for the dessert. It just means when you start eating sugar, it's like, let's go. Another thing that sugar does is it releases dopamine, and it's like this dopamine hit that you get from the sugar rush. Again, very, very addictive, and you crave it more. So on the hormonal side, sugar triggers more sugar, and sugar triggers more binge eating. And carbs are sugar. Alcohol is sugar. Things starting to fall into place, right? So this kind of knowledge and the skill of applying some of these knowledges by, for example, having whole foods instead of processed foods, having healthy greens and protein heavy foods instead of carb and sugar heavy foods. These kinds of skills will help you stay away from binge eating. Another thing is decision fatigue. See if this resonates. The reason you binge eat, the reason I binge eat sometimes is like, I'm thinking, wait, what should I eat? I start getting hungry and I'm like, what should I eat? I don't know what I'm gonna eat. Oh, maybe I'll eat this. Maybe I want a burger, but I had a burger yesterday. Maybe I should have sushi. Oh, sushi's really healthy, but maybe there's not enough protein. Maybe I should buy steak and cook it. Wait, but that's gonna take a lot of time. And I don't even have olive oil or thyme or rosemary. So maybe I should just go over and have a salad bowl. And all these micro decisions are messing up my brain. And each second that goes by, I'm getting hungrier and hungrier and hungrier until I say, you know what? I'll just eat whatever. Boom. I start gathering like ramen, bit of chicken breast, bit of salad, bit of leftover, everything. Start making it and I'm super hungry. I'm tired. I'm stressed. Guess what happens? Kill that emotion with all that binge eating and all that lovely food. Dopamine hit. Just get completely zapped out. Hide my emotions with food. Emotional eating. Something we'll get onto in the next point. Decision fatigue is real. If you have healthy options and certain restaurants, certain places, certain foods that you just go to as your go-to meals that you love, that are healthy, high in protein, that's gonna save you a lot of time. That's it, guys. Now I've just given you some knowledge and some skills that are gonna help you stop binge eating. Let's go one layer deeper, because all of that environmental change, all of that knowledge and skills ain't gonna do nothing unless you work on this next layer, which is the beliefs. What do you believe is gonna affect how you act? Let's just take one belief, which is your belief about feeling hungry. We seem to feel that something's wrong when we're hungry, that it's a problem that needs to be solved. So, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat. What about if you had another belief that hunger was actually not an unhealthy state, not a problem to be solved? It's a good time to lose fat, that it's actually okay, that it's a period of fasting, that I actually enjoy a little bit. Hunger is probably a natural state that we often experience as our bodies evolved. Our body is wise enough to deal with certain hunger signals by taking the resourceful energy sources that it needs from fat. That's why we store fat, to use energy, right? For the times when we're hungry. And just trusting the wisdom of our body to do that. If you had that belief when you feel hungry, you're not going to be so urgently seeking food to resolve that hunger. It's because we've been so induced with this desire dopamine, desire fix. How about you just stay present with the feeling of hunger, be okay with it for a little bit, and then go, hey, I'm gonna eat something. It's a very slight change, but it's these kinds of beliefs that are gonna help you navigate this issue of binge eating. This one little thing change can really, really impact how you eat and how you react to your hunger signals. Now, this is opening a door to another layer that is even deeper, which is your identity and your subconscious. This is probably the deepest layer we can go to, because when you really change your body, you're really changing your identity on the deepest level. You've always been a chubby guy, average chubby guy. That's me. I've always been a skinny fat guy, bro. You've always been skinny, right? You've always been fat. And your identity, your subconscious, is attached to that identity. It doesn't want to change, because the feedback you might get from the world when you change is uncertain. And on a subconscious level, that's very scary. You don't want to change. So you stick to your original patterns, because at least then the feedback you get from the world is consistent. That feels safe. Even though on a conscious level, you might say, yeah, I want to get lean and build a good body. Your subconscious doesn't want that change, because when you change, there's certain things good that you have to give up as well. It's not just the bad things that you give up. All the good things, like the feelings of safety, everything that you know about yourself, all of this kind of has to be reshifted and readjusted. And people are like, oh, you lost weight, oh my god, you look good. Like, you don't necessarily know that your subconscious wants all that change. Why is it that when you feel hungry, you need to eat, you need to satisfy these desires? Maybe it's because when you felt hungry as a kid, you weren't fed at the right time, because your desires were not met. Your eating time sometimes were not respected. Maybe you started feeling like you were not worthy of love, and it made you feel very unsettled and anxious. This lack is triggering in your adult life your desire to fill the lack in your identity, in your feelings, in your subconscious by having excess food. Now, that's just one interpretation. There can be many instances, right? Maybe it was nothing to do with food. Any of these episodes could lead to a certain formulation of a trauma that you try to overcompensate for, that you try to fill and fix with food. This is the deepest layer. And it's hard to talk about this because it's not tangible, like eat less calories, more calories, don't eat this, don't eat that. But the actual reason why you binge eat and why certain people, when you have certain body fat percentages, the reason you cannot make a shift to another body fat percentage or another body shape for a prolonged period of time is because your identity is aligned with your current status quo. Going really deep into weird territory right now, I know it can sound a little confusing, but I just want to show you that there is this extra layer, and issues of binge eating and craving food and trying to shove down emotions with food is usually a sign of some kind of childhood instance and trauma that led to issues of abundance and not feeling enough. I don't want to make this sound like, I'm just some enlightened guy that knows all this, because this is all just psychoanalytic theory. It's attachment theory applied to food and things like this, and I still go through it myself. I wake up one morning, I go out into the kitchen right there, I just walk there, I don't even have breakfast because I fast, and I think, oh, you know what, I'd really like some food, and I caught myself thinking it, and I was like, wait, what's going on? And I realized what it is I was feeling a bit anxious. I didn't feel that great about myself, my current situation, and everything that was going on. And immediately when I smelt the tiniest bit of food, I was like, you know what, I'd like to get some. Why? Because it was a way to shut down the uncomfortable feeling. So the final thing that I'll say, guys, is examine your relationship with food. This is an extension to the previous point. All of us have a relationship to others and your friends and to yourself, but your relationship to food is something that you need to examine and bring awareness to. How do you relate to food? When you see food, is it a celebration? Is it enjoyable? Is it something that you connect with friends over? Is it a passion of yours? Is it your creative outlet? Is it something to suppress your emotions? Is it something to just keep you ticking over? Because some people, they're just like, I don't even enjoy food, I just eat it to keep me alive. There's people like that as well, right? So examine your relationship with food. And if you're someone that deals with binge eating, because those guys that say I just eat to survive, those guys are rarely fat, right? The binge eating guys like myself, and maybe you if you're watching, there's triggers, and those triggers, you might have the environment, you might have your lack of knowledge and skills, so you start just eating sugary foods not knowing it's going to lead you to binge eating. You keep peeling back the layer, you have the wrong beliefs about hunger and whatever, but then you go a layer deeper and you get to the deepest layer and you realize your identity and your subconscious and feelings of unworthiness and lack of abundance is what's actually making you try to fill what's missing with food. I keep coming back, it sounds repetitive, but this is so important, guys. So if you work on all those layers at the same time, that is how you actually can overcome binge eating. It's not as simple as like, don't eat sugar, or like, just like, don't put crisps in your house. It's a very easy solution that sells, but it's not going to get to the crux of the problem, because binge eating is a symptom of a deeper issue in your identity and your subconscious. I hope that resonated with you. If you like this kind of sort of deeper content, please let me know, / check out my other videos on mindset. I like to go into some of that stuff, because I think fitness industry in general and the advice that's around is very surface level. It's very just touching on like tactics and techniques. But let's be honest, human issues, real human issues, go a little bit deeper than just tactics. Hope that helps. See you in the next video.
리틀 헝거와 그레이트 헝거. 리틀 헝거는 그냥 배가 고픈 사람이고, 그레이트 헝거는 삶의 의미에 굶주린 사람이래.